everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video we're going to be doing the commentary / analysis for episode 1 of Miraculous Ladybug season 5 Evolution. Now, 2 disclaimers before we go any further. As always, I'm about to spoil the whole episode for you, so if you haven't seen it yet, please check the description box for some links down below where you to go and watch it, but please know those links will eventually expire as they get taken down for copyright and stuff like that. Honestly, the best time to watch a Miraculous episode is usually within 2 days of it first coming out. After that, it's going to be a lot harder to find. Second disclaimer, I have not read the season 5 show bible that got leaked, nor do I intend to read it. So if you're about to comment on this video telling people what happens in it, or disputing anything in this video I say because you know something that happens in the future, don't bother. Any comments that I see, and I read most of the comments, any comments I see that talk about the contents of the leak will be deleted immediately. I don't want to see it, and most of the people coming to comment under my videos also don't want to see it, because whilst I also read the comments, a lot of other people read the comments, okay? So if you've seen the show bible and ruined it for yourself, great. Don't ruin it for anybody else. Thank you. So yeah, I think that's all I've really got to say. I hope you all like my outfit. You're probably wondering, Hazel, why aren't you wearing a bit more blue for Bunnix, for Evolution? I've got blue eyeshadow on. I did my nails specially, I did dots for the burrow, and following on with the burrow theme, I have a skirt that looks like the burrow. So I did one better than Bunnix. I came to the commentary video dressed as the burrow, and this is also my favourite skirt. So I know you can't really see it, but I'm dead chuffed with it. So anyway, let's actually get into the commentary portion of this video. So I would give this episode a 7 out of 10. I definitely think it was a very good episode to start off with. However, please know in this video I am definitely coming at this from the perspective of someone who isn't the biggest fan of time travel, because I personally get very confused. Before I sat down to film this, I just got done talking with Edward. If you're on my Discord server, you'll know Edward is one of my mods, and if you know Edward a bit more, if you've spoken to him a bit more, you'll know he absolutely loves time travel. So we had a massive in-depth conversation about time travel last night because he wrote me an essay about how time travel in the show works, and I just spoke to him now to understand some things I didn't get. So I have spoken to my time travel expert. But please know that this video is coming from the perspective of someone who isn't the biggest fan of it because it is confusing. However, despite that, I would say that this episode was well executed. I was worried it was going to be confusing, and I was confused at first, but I feel that possibly could have been down to errors in translation. That's always a difficulty since it was in Portuguese first, not English. Maybe I'll change my mind on that whenever it releases in English to see how complicated it actually was. I spoke to Edward. What did he say? He said as long as you don't think about hold on, let me just check the message. He said as long as you're not worried about Novikov, you should be fine. Edward, if you want to write a paragraph and I'll pin it about who that is and the self-consistency theory thingy that you spent half an hour last night explaining to me and had to use Harry Potter to get me to understand. Anyway, you can go for it. But at first I was like, is this too complex for kids? But after speaking to Edward, I'm like, no, to be fair, I don't think it is once you don't think about it, and I think some things did get lost in translation of this. So I'm looking forward to the English version of this episode. Also, one thing as well, when I was first watching this, and I did film a reaction, you'll see it in a couple of days, I didn't say this in the reaction video, but at first I was watching it, I don't think I really enjoyed it because I was like, this pace is quite slow. I'm not a big fan of things that have a slow pace. However, upon watching it 2 more times to make notes and take pictures and stuff for this video, I was like, actually I don't mind it being this slow. Any slower than it was would have been very boring. However, if it had been any faster, I then think all the time travel elements would have been too fast for us all to understand. So I actually think even though the pace was slower than Miraculous usually is, because Risk and Strike Back were very pacey, got through things quickly but without rushing, they were very well done. This had a much slower pace to it, but it wasn't boring and it didn't rush through anything. It took all the time it needed to explain things. I think it was a good season opener. Not my favourite episode, like I said, because time travel confusing to me personally. If you love time travel, I hope you enjoyed this episode, but I don't. But yeah, I liked it. I liked that it picked right back up after Strike Back. I love the little looks Lady Noir were giving each other. However, I do hope we get more development there. They do seem to have pretty much snapped right back into a team, which, don't get me wrong, I'm happy for, but I was hoping, like, there's still a lot of secrets between them, and I understand this picked right back up of Strike Back. There was no time for them to have a sit down, heart to heart, let's get ice cream and have a cry and discuss everything. Totally get it. And it doesn't look like, I've seen the multiplication trailer now, it doesn't look like they've got time for that in the next episode either. But I would like there to see at some point this season, not necessarily an argument between them, but some kind of confrontation where they properly talk about it. Like, I know end of Strike Back, Adrian has just seen Ladybug have a panic attack in his bathroom, then he's come to find it on his rooftop. She's not doing great here either. I understand now is not the time, and then Monarch does his thing and then Bunnix arrives. Now is definitely not the time, but at some point I would like to see them have a proper talk and rebuild properly as a team, because it just seems from what I saw in the multiplication trailer that they just snap back into it. So I would like some more addressing that. I don't want this to be over and done with immediately. And I kind of wished as well that, like, I know at that point they'd already seen Cat Noir with the rabbit Miraculous, so Ladybug knows she has to give it to him, but she was like, yeah, we're a team, you do it instead of me, because it's always her who gets the fusion usually. Whilst I did quite like that, I think I maybe would have liked for her to be like, I don't really trust myself right now after what happened, maybe you should do it, possibly. I don't hate it, it's not a huge criticism I have, but yeah, I understand this episode wasn't the time, there would have been no time to fit this in there. But I mean, we've already had Lady Noir breaking down, but I want to see them just, you know, he still doesn't know about Cat Blank, she doesn't know about Cat Walker, he still doesn't really know about her revealing her identity to someone, he doesn't even know who it was. There's still a lot of things unsaid between them that need to be talked about at some point, and I would like it to happen in the first half of the season, I think. If they leave it any later, it might seem a bit weird. So I think that would be good at some point. Now, let me tell you, you'll see it in the reaction video, but the reaction I had to Gabriel calling the Kwamis like stupid little creatures, and then he made Sass be quiet. I was not having it. These creatures are the ones giving you the powers. They are essentially mini gods. Gabriel, shut up. I don't know what's happened to him. Like, he's just like, all the power's gone to his head within the space of what, like an hour between Strike Back and Evolution. You know what I mean? Like, not that Gabriel was ever like a ray of sunshine in the show, but like he was just downright horrible in that moment. I was, okay, alright, whatever. And now we're going to talk about Natalie. We're just going to kind of group it all together. I know it happens well spaced throughout the episode. I like how they spaced out the Natalie things, but we're just going to do it all together now. So it starts off with her being amazing. She's like, Gabriel, let me get home first. We'll discuss this together. We'll come up with a proper plan. And he's like, no, Natalie, I know what I'm doing. Goodbye. Hangs up on her. Abhorrent behaviour. And then she's the one who suggests to him to use the drive to go back in time. Obviously that would create a paradox and mess things up. That wouldn't be good, but at least she was trying to be helpful. And then he comes to her and is like, I need you to feed all these Kwamis, and she does it, no questions asked. If I remember correctly from Ladybug, Dusu always seemed to quite like being around Natalie, so it seemed like Natalie did take pretty good care of him. Not that I think Dusu was around Natalie that often because of the broken brooch, so Natalie couldn't see Dusu all the time, but it seemed like they had a good relationship, so I was like, yeah, okay. Although I am a bit confused why Gabriel thought he didn't need to feed them at all. Like, has he not fed Nuru anything? Like, and I was also a bit confused, maybe again this was due to the translation, but like Gabriel acknowledges, I think it's either in Mayura or Miracle Queen, that because they are kids they're gonna have to transform back after 5 minutes because they're not fully grown adults, they don't have the power to sustain the Miraculous. Fine. But it seems from what Sass says that Gabriel can literally force them, because he's an adult, he can force them to keep using their power, which was really interesting, but it will eventually kill both the Kwami and Gabriel. Like I said, might have been lost in translation, but I thought that idea was really interesting. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool that you can basically force them because they can like feed off your energy for a bit. That's why the kids have to transform back, because they don't have as much energy because they're smaller. So I was like, huh, okay, I didn't quite understand it though. So I was like, okay, there are a lot of cool things brought up in this episode. And then again, back to Natalie quickly. The last part we got of Natalie right at the end, when she was shouting at Gabriel over the phone. Part of me was kind of shocked at first she did that, because I was like, Natalie, as we all know, even if you don't ship Gabe Nath, I feel like you can't deny that Natalie does have some feelings for Gabriel. That's why she helps him so much. She's been very selfless because she knows if she helps him succeed, Emily will be back, which is going to be very hard for her since she's in love with him. But she's been quite selfless at the very least since Catalyst. Like prior to that, I don't believe, maybe we did see Natalie help him prior to that. The first time I remember is Catalyst, where she helps him. So she's been very, very selfless. And I guess in a way her asking him to go back in time and fix the Peacock Miraculous, I didn't realise at first till she said it, was also something for her, because if he goes back in time and fixes it, or gets other Gabriel to fix it, him in the past to fix it, it would stop her from using it as well, and she would never have been fallen ill. So in a way I guess it was quite selfish. However, I didn't mind it so much. I really like Natalie. She's such a complex character. I think she's one of the most complex characters in the show. In terms of the writing, Natalie is the best character in the show, I think. She's written so wonderfully. So she did do it partly selfishly to help herself, but because she's been so selfless, I'm like, yeah, I probably would have asked the same of him if I was in your shoes, and I'd be pretty angry too. I love that she just completely blew up on him. You could see her getting progressively more and more fed up with him. Like at the start of Risk, when she was in bed and he told her plan, she was like, Like she wasn't having it. She's starting to get sick of him, and now she's like, you're basically obsessed with two teenagers. Like you had the perfect chance to get her back. If you'd done it quickly enough, then Ladybug and Catmull wouldn't have seen you detransform or whatever, and it wouldn't have mattered. But like she said, he is kind of obsessed with this and doing it that way, the way he had initially planned. Like, what's the phrase? Like, be stubborn about your goals but flexible about your methods. Natalie is stubborn about Gabriel's goal, but she's like, I don't mind which way we'll get there. We'll find a way, we'll get there, mate. But Gabriel's like, no. Has to be Ladybug and Catmull's Miraculous's. Like, if you can prevent your wife from ever getting harmed in the first place, why wouldn't you take it? I don't know. So yeah, it just really shows how crazy Gabriel has gotten basically, which I quite liked, to be honest. We don't often get like a, not that it was like a super in-depth look at Gabriel's like psyche, but I did quite like it. And one thing I absolutely did love was a look back at all the other episodes. So we got Lady Wi-Fi, we got Riposte, we got Mayura, we got Animan, talk about that in a minute, we got Reversa, and then we got The Past, which I believe we saw in Backwater? I never know how to say that episode name. In Backwater. So I loved all the little callbacks to things that happened in the past. I love it when shows do that. Not the big fan of time travel, but I like it when they revisit other things in some way, and I absolutely loved the whole concept. Once I'd wrapped my head around the trailer and understand what Gabriel was trying to do, I loved the whole concept of him going back in time to vulnerable moments to see their identities. And also in Animan, even though that wasn't really a vulnerable moment episode, we got a DJ Wi-Fi kiss. You'll see my reaction in the reaction video, but oh my god. So cute! I loved it so much. Oh my god. I love it. So even though like we didn't even see Ladybug and Cat Noir in that episode, it was actually just like a drop through the was it the enclosure in the zoo, and you just saw Alia and Nino kiss. Like it didn't even, it was so beautifully done. I thought that whole sequence was really well paced and structured. Absolutely love it. It could have very easily been confusing, but in my opinion, I could understand why you would get confused. In my opinion, I didn't think it was that confusing, to be honest. I also thought it was really funny how Gabriel was had to like basically shout all the names of all the Kwamis every single time where to transform. That was great. However, that wind dragon is definitely going to be a bit tricky. I believe episode 12 is perfection for the Dragon Miraculous. So for the first half of this season, things do seem like it's going to be tricky. Anytime they get close to him, he's going to be like, oh, and I'm gone. You know what I mean? You know, it's going to be difficult, as you saw in this episode. Things aren't going to be easy. But it does seem like they're going to be okay. So, like, I'm excited to see how they're going to overcome them all, but not Like, I know they can do it. I'm not doubting them, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think I phrased it very well. Sorry, I'm just so excited. This season sounds like it's going to be great. One thing I was a bit confused about. So they go back to that past with Master Fu and Marianne when they're a lot younger. And right before he basically collapses, Ladybug and Cat Noir, or sorry, Rabbit Noir, both see Hawkmoth have the Rabbit Miraculous and the Dog Miraculous, and he touches it to it. But then Ladybug still takes the Rabbit Miraculous and is surprised when he does fetch. You just think he was gonna be like, actually, you know what, I've done fetch, but I'm gonna let you have it. You can keep that one. What? What? I don't quite get it. Like, why was she so shocked? You've just seen him do that. She wasn't looking the other way, she was looking at him. You've just seen him do that. Why are you like, he's just done fetch, oh no. You just saw him. Alright, bit confusing. Anyway, however, speaking of that past sequence, I absolutely loved the interaction they got with younger Master Fu. Like I said, I love callbacks to stuff like this in TV shows. I really enjoyed it. And that moment was just so precious to me. I maybe would have liked a bit more emotion in that scene from Ladybug and Cat Noir. Like, the last time they saw him was in Furious Fu, and not that this Master Fu has any memory of them, because obviously their memories of him hasn't happened to him yet. This is before Marinette and Adrien were even born. But I would have liked some maybe more emotional reaction from Ladybug and Cat Noir. They get to see Master Fu again. I mean, I doubt he's going to be in the show again. If he is, it'll probably be something similar, like a little cameo like this. So I did really like the idea, but maybe just some more visual emotion from Ladybug and Cat Noir would have been nice. Like, it could have been a really tender moment, and as it was a nice moment, but I would have taken it a bit further. It wouldn't have needed much. It wouldn't have needed much more, just like a little bit more, and it would have been absolutely beautiful. But anyway, so now let's move to Alex and her dad, and this is a bit that confused me, but I've spoken to some people on Twitter. I spoke to Edward, our resident time travel expert on this channel. Do the other Miraculous channels have a resident time travel expert? I don't think so. So at first I was a bit confused. I was like, okay, Alex has been given the dog to get the rabbit back. I understood that bit, but I was like, why does Alex have to go into hiding? So I was a bit confused about that. It just seems that from what Ladybug has said is that now Gabriel, using the Dog Miraculous, can get the Rabbit Miraculous from any point he wants because they now have this magical bond together. Does that also mean the same for Ladybug and her yo-yo? Or not, because now Gabriel has used it on the Rabbit Miraculous. It's kind of erased using the yo-yo, if you get what I mean. I guess in a way it's a bit like with the Peacock Miraculous and the Senti monsters. You can keep one alive for as long as you want, but if you want to make another Senti monster at the same time to be alive, someone else has to do it. So can only Felix using the Dog Miraculous get the yo-yo back because it has that special connection between Felix, the Dog Miraculous, and the yo-yo? Or is it just like a one-time thing where it has like an erasable history? At first the ball had a connection with the yo-yo, so could fetch it whenever it wanted, but now Gabriel has basically replaced the yo-yo with the Rabbit Miraculous. It can never get the yo-yo unless it touches it again. Did that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying? Is it basically, does it have a history where it can fetch any of the objects it's ever touched, including the ball in Penalty, including that teddy in from Risk and Strike Back, the Froggy Teddy, or is it just the most recent item? That wasn't said in the episode, so I'd like to know more about that. So it does just seem that Alex is basically hiding out in the burrow and wherever she wants in ancient history until it's safe for her to come back, which I would assume. At first I was like, well, surely it's going to be, I think, episode 17, which is Adoration for the Dog Miraculous. They'll get the dog back, so surely it's okay for Alex to come back. However, and it didn't show this, but it just seems they left older Alex paralysed in the burrow, which obviously they couldn't do anything about it, that's not a criticism. But whenever Gabriel went back in, it never showed him seeing her. You know what I mean? Like, he saw the Lucky Charm, the mini box open. He saw that plenty of times, but he never once seemed to have seen Alex. So is part of the reason of hiding younger Alex because Gabriel now knows her identity, but he never actually seemed to see her, even though she was in the burrow the whole time. I'm a bit confused why exactly. It just seems like she's possibly there to guard the timeline, protect the rabbit Miraculous from him until he fetches another item, they get the dog Miraculous back, or he's defeated properly. I don't know. This is kind of why it's only a 7 out of 10 because, again, it could have just been the translation. Maybe I will change my mind and bump up the score once it comes out in English. But right now I am a bit confused about it exactly. Like I said, I've spoken to a few people about it and I'm still confused. I do kind of feel bad for Alex that she's basically going to be missing most of the season. However, maybe she'll pop in every so often to talk to Ladybug and Catnall to see how things are going on, see how things are progressing, if she can help anyway from inside the burrow maybe. They probably won't do this, but I totally would love like a spin-off episode for Alex to see some of her adventures whilst she's doing this. I do kind of feel bad for her. I do like Alex, however, I guess in a way it was probably like meant to be for her. She didn't really do much in season 4 at all. She did a bit in Psychomedian, a bit in Guilt Trip. She didn't do a great deal. I'm struggling to recall an episode where she had a lot of lines, to be honest, because she didn't really. So I think, I mean, I'm not saying that the audience doesn't have an emotional connection with her, because I personally do love Alex. But out of all the characters they could have picked, I guess in a way it's good that it was Alex, because even though she is well liked, it does seem most people in the fandom do like Alex and Bunnix. I feel like it was an okay choice to make, since right now she doesn't have the biggest role in the show in terms of loads of lines. Like if they'd sent Alia to do this, I wouldn't have been a fan of that, because I'm more used to seeing Alia in pretty much every single episode, whereas with Alex, not so much. However, how they're gonna explain her absence at school and stuff, like I know her dad knows what's going on, he's cool with it, whatever, fine, but what's it gonna like, you're like, oh yeah, I just sent Alex off to study in Spain for a year, what, like, you know, what are you gonna say? It's a bit weird. What if the police come looking, wonder if she's been kidnapped? What's going on with that? So, yeah. I think that's what's going on there. So I completely understood the time travel with going back in time to find out their identities, get that. So it does just seem that Alex is going off on a really cool holiday to stop Gabriel from getting the rabbit Miraculous. I think that's my understanding of it. I'm not 100% certain. Again, it could have just be due to getting lost in translation, because I don't think the subtitles I watched were 100% accurate, because I saw a few different versions and some of them were different, so I'm not 100% sure. But I think it's an interesting idea. I will miss Alex, but if it had been a different character I might have felt differently. They should have sent Nathaniel actually. I wouldn't have minded not seeing Nathaniel. I prefer Alex to Nathaniel. We should have got rid of Nathaniel for a bit. That would have been better. Sorry Nathaniel. Anyway, carrying on. Now let's talk about the Peacock Miraculous and a little bit we saw with Emily. First of all, I thought Gabriel was going to propose to Emily. He did not. So I was like, oh, that's... Like, you see my reaction, I get very excited, then I'm like, oh, it's a brooch. Very important brooch, but it's not a ring at the end of the day, so I was like, okay. And I do feel like it does kind of confirm the Senti monster theory. I feel like Felix taking the Peacock Miraculous and all the stuff with the rings in the finale was a pretty big confirmation, but I feel like this confirms it even more, because it was kind of... I know a lot of you are kids, but I am 25. I feel like that scene did radiate a bit, not lots, but a bit of kind of like sexual energy, and they were basically going upstairs to make a baby, but since they can't make a baby the normal way, they were going to make a baby with the Peacock Miraculous. That's how I interpreted the scene. Let me know if you think I'm some sort of pervert for thinking that, but that's the kind of vibes I got from that scene. Bearing in mind, I know everyone thinks I'm like 17, I don't know why you all think I'm 17, but I am a 25-year-old. Those are the vibes that I personally got from the scene. However, I do definitely feel like that was confirming the sentimental stuff. But also I do think the scene was cute, getting to see Emily and Gabriel interact like that. I've never seen Gabriel like that, ever, so it was quite refreshing to see. It was quite nice actually. And I also, I know I said before I liked how Natalie got annoyed with Gabriel for having this obsession with the kids, and I can completely see that going on there, and I quite like the idea. I feel that the way it was brought up in the episode with the image of this lucky charm from Heroes Day Mayura Part 2. I feel like that was a bit tenuous. I understand Gabriel, he usually isn't out in the open, so if he's gonna remember a lucky charm, it's gonna be a lucky charm from a fight he was there for. And he hasn't been there for many fights. He was there in Mayura, he was there in Miracle Queen, he was there in Ladybug, so I understand he probably hasn't seen that many lucky charms in person, so this is probably one that's going to stick in his mind, and it was a day he thought he was going to win. It was the first big fight they had in Miraculous, I believe, apart from really Origins. So I can understand why he would remember it, but for him to stop himself from just dropping this pen drive in and then going to stop Ladybug and Cat Noir finding out his identities just because of this box, like, just drop the pen drive and run. Like, just drop the pen drive in that part of the burrow where your younger self and Emily are before you go and make Adrian, and then run. Like, you know what I mean? So I did feel like it was a bit wishy-washy. However, I do like how all the defeat played out with Alex and stuff like that. I am gonna miss her, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna give her the MVP for this episode, although with a special mention for Cat Noir because he was wonderful in this episode too, but I just wish that thing with the box, I was just like, Gabriel, you could have just dropped that pen drive in and then run. And I guess at the end of the day it wouldn't have really mattered either, because if younger you fixes the Peacock Miraculous, then you never would have been Hawkmoth in the first place. Although after my conversations with Edward, it doesn't seem like the Miraculous can really change the past because of all the dire consequences it would have on the future. Time travel is confusing, my head feels mashed, and now I have to edit this thing. So yeah, MVP goes to Alex. Overall, I would give this episode a 7 out of 10. I do think it is a really good episode to start the season on. In comparison to Truth and Lies, I personally prefer this episode, but I do understand how you might have been a bit confused. I am still not 100% convinced of why Alex is in hiding, basically, but that could have been due to a translation error. So if you've interpreted that differently, please let me know what you thought of that. Edward, I'm excited to know your thoughts on the time travel in this episode. I'm excited to know all your thoughts, mainly on, like I said, the Alex stuff. Are you gonna miss Alex as well? What are your feelings on that, besties? The DJ Wi-Fi kiss, the Senti Monster stuff. Do you think this confirms without a doubt Adrian is a Senti Monster? And what do you think of the Lady Noir relationship moving forward? As I said, if you've read the season 5 Bible leak, please do not mention it. I don't want to know your theories and predictions if they're taking into context the leaks. I want to have fun and experience the season from someone who knows nothing, basically. So please, please do not spoil the show for everyone else, because it's not very nice. So I think that's all I've got to say. I'd love to know your thoughts on this, besties. Also, Multiplication is airing next Monday, and I am actually on holiday next week. I will take my camera with me and hopefully film, but because I'm on holiday, I'll be going out each day and doing things. This was the same as when Rocketeer was released last year. I was on holiday for my brother's wedding, so I will try my very, very best to get a video up, but I would think it wouldn't go up until the day afterwards. So for example, the episode will come out Monday night, like 11:30 p.m. my time, and then I can film Tuesday morning, but then we'll be going out for the day, so I'll probably edit Tuesday nights and have the video up for probably Wednesday afternoon. I hope that's okay. Sorry, I want a break. I want to spend time with my family. I do a full-time PhD, and when I say full-time PhD, the full-time usually means it's the same amount of hours as a full-time job, and making Miraculous videos, because I make money from it on YouTube, is my part-time job. However, with the amount of work that often goes into it, it does sometimes feel like it's a full-time job as well. So, yeah, I hope that's okay with you all. I really liked the episode. Not my favourite episode ever of the show, but I think it was a really good, strong episode to start the season on and kind of set the tone for how high the stakes are going to be for the rest of the season. Yeah, I liked it. Even though I'm not a big fan of time travel, I still liked it. Maybe that's just because I love Bunnix. But anyway, I really, really liked it. I'd love to know your thoughts, besties, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!